The ratings are in for Wednesday's edition of AEW Dynamite on TBS, as well as Tuesday's edition of WWE NXT on the CW. Meanwhile, Drew McIntyre is suspended at the end of SmackDown after attacking WWE Champion Cody Rhodes. All this and more in this news update. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's begin with some ratings information when it comes to AEW Dynamite first. Wednesday's AEW Dynamite show drew 497,000 viewers on TBS. That is up 8% compared to last week's 459,000 viewers. It drew a 0.09 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic. That is also up 12% compared to last week's 0.08 rating. Of course, as always, the streaming viewership numbers from the simulcast on HBO Max is currently not known. In regards to notable sports competition, the NBA game of Minnesota Timberwolves versus New York Knicks drew 1.377 million viewers on ESPN. The college basketball game of Alabama A&M versus Indiana drew 346,000 viewers on Big Ten Network. And the NHL game of St. Louis Blues versus Washington Capitals drew 289,000 viewers on TNT. This time last year, on November 6, 2024, Dynamite drew 523,000 viewers and a 0.16 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic. The November 8, 2023 episode drew 804,000 viewers and a 0.27 rating. Now let's go over to more ratings information, starting with WWE NXT. Although Nielsen's Big Data Plus panel system has negatively impacted professional wrestling viewership across the board, WWE NXT continues to be the least affected by the new measurement, despite still posting some of its lowest totals of the year. Over the past 2 weeks, WWE's third brand has just managed to stay above the 520,000 viewer mark. In this past Tuesday's episode, featuring El Grande Americano's NXT debut, along with Ethan Page and Chelsea Green's AAA World Mixed Tag Team Championship celebration, was no different. According to WrestleNomics and Programming Insider, NXT averaged 528,000 viewers and posted a 0.08 in the key 18 to 49 demographic. When comparing both categories to the previous week, NXT's audience marginally increased by 1,000 viewers, while the 18 to 49 demo grew by 14%. The developmental brand also faced stiff competition on Tuesday night as the show went head-to-head with coverage of Election Night in America, as well as the NBA game between the Orlando Magic and the Atlanta Hawks. Despite NXT slightly increasing its ratings from the previous week, the program's viewership numbers have dropped by 18% since this time last year. However, more concerning is NXT's decline in the 18 to 49 demographic, which has plummeted by a whopping 53% since last November. Hopefully, with NXT Gold Rush on the horizon, WWE's flagship show on a Tuesday will once again eclipse 600,000 viewers. And let's go to SmackDown last night, and Drew McIntyre is on the suspended list. Drew McIntyre has been suspended by SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis. After defeating McIntyre on Saturday night's main event, WWE Champion Cody Rhodes opened SmackDown, saying that he's moving on from the Scottish Warrior. Cody was going to look for a new opponent, but Aleister Black interrupted him. Nick Aldis then announced Aleister Black versus Cody Rhodes as the main event. When both wrestlers were down during the match, McIntyre suddenly entered the ring and attacked the referee Dan Engler with a Claymore kick. Interestingly enough, Dan was also the referee for McIntyre's match against Cody on Saturday night's main event last weekend. Shortly after McIntyre's attack, Damian Priest came to save the day. He attacked Black and McIntyre, who were doubling up on the American Nightmare. After they cleared the ring, Nick Aldis showed up and suspended Drew McIntyre from SmackDown. If we get any more details as to the directions of this storyline, of course, we'll let you know in a future video. Now, we saw a major title change last night on SmackDown. Chelsea Green has made history once again. Chelsea Green regained the WWE Women's United States Championship on SmackDown, defeating now ex-champion Julia. The finish saw Chelsea catch Julia in a roll-up and put her feet on the ropes after Julia was distracted by Alba Fire taking out Kiana James on the outside. Chelsea celebrated with Ethan Page, who was sitting ringside. Of course, Page is the reigning NXT North American champion, and he and Chelsea Green are the AAA Mixed Tag Team champions. This marks the second reign as WWE Women's US Champion for Green. She was the first ever Women's US Champion, is now the first ever two-time champion. Julia's reign lasted 133 days. She made 2 successful title defenses. Lash Legend has returned to SmackDown and seemingly has been now caught up to the main roster full time. During the Charlotte Flair vs. Nia Jax match last night on SmackDown, Lash attacked Alexa Bliss from behind. This caused a distraction for the Queen, and Jax was able to capitalize on the situation by hitting the Annihilator on Charlotte to win the match. Post-match, Nia Jax and Lash Legend were interviewed by Kathy Kelly. She's officially part of SmackDown, with WWE also adding her to the Blue Brand's roster page. WrestleVotes has also reported that she and Nia Jax will work as a pair going forward. They wrote, quote, Lash Legend officially debuts on SmackDown. She will be a fixture on the show going forward, paired with Nia Jax for the time being. There is a level of optimism with her within creative. Now, Lash last wrestled on SmackDown almost a year back on November 22nd, 2024. She has been an active performer in NXT and recently challenged Kendall Gray for the Evolve Women's Championship. Now, more details when it comes to this. The Last Time Is Now tournament to see who's going to face John Cena in his final WWE match. 2 more matches are official in the Last Time Is Now tournament to decide who will face Cena in his retirement WWE bout. Nick Aldis drew names on WWE SmackDown, revealing that The Miz will face Jey Uso and LA Knight will face a surprise opponent next Friday on SmackDown. Aldis saw the name but decided not to announce it. On WWE Raw, Damian Priest will battle Rusev, while Sheamus will take on Shinsuke Nakamura as part of the tournament. The winner of the 16-man tournament will face Cena in his last match on December 13th. Cena's next appearance is set for Monday's Raw. It'll be one of his final 4 appearances before his retirement match on WWE Saturday Night's Main Event next month from Washington, D.C. We spoke earlier on about Charlotte Flair, her match with Nia Jax, but also an interesting face-off of the new WWE Women's Champion. Jade Cargill made her first appearance as WWE Women's Champion on Friday's WWE SmackDown. In her in-ring promo, Jade kept things short and sweet, stating, quote, "Make no mistake about it, I'm that bitch." As she headed to the back, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss made their way to the ring for Charlotte's match against Nia Jax. Cargill had a stare down with Charlotte, reminding her who the champion is. Even as Charlotte continued down the aisle, Cargill remained at the top of the aisle, looking at the former women's champion. Cargill and Flair have had multiple stare downs in the past. First in October 2023, when Cargill first arrived in the WWE. They would come face to face once again in May of 2025. Now, one champion, they lost their US Championship. The other retained it on SmackDown, that being Ilya Dragunov. He retained his US title for the 3rd SmackDown running as his weekly open challenge continued. Having defeated Sami Zayn for the title in an open challenge, Dragunov has since defended the title against Aleister Black and Nathan Frazer, all while under the watchful eye of Tama Tonga and, by extension, former United States champion Solo Sikoa and the MFTs. Dragunov passed Tonga backstage prior to making his entrance for this week's open challenge, answered instead by Tommaso Ciampa, having taken issue with Dragunov shooting down his opportunity last week, demanding he be given the respect he deserves and thus a title shot. Dragunov opted instead to give the title shot to Ciampa's partner, Johnny Gargano, and thus defended the title against him. The champion had to put up with interference from Candice LeRae as Gargano connected with his signature springboard DDT and one final beat to no avail, Dragunov kicking out of everything he had to offer. Ultimately, Dragunov endured and prevailed with an H-bomb for the winning pinfall and title retention. Following the defeat, Ciampa was shown backstage to be joined by Gargano, with Fraxium appearing and mocking Ciampa for getting shot down 2 weeks in a row, only for Gargano to get his opportunity and lose. It'll be interesting to see indeed how that one plays out in the future. Now, a big update when it comes to Ridge Holland and this entire WWE exit, firing, contract expiring, and also Twitter post story. He has posted a YouTube video and has opened up on a lot about his departure from the company. On October 13th, Ridge Holland announced that his WWE contract would not be renewed when it expired on November 14th. Holland suffered an injury against Moose at a TNA Impact taping in September. Fightful Select confirmed with WWE that they terminated Holland's contract early after his recent tweets about the company's decision to not renew his contract. On his YouTube channel, Ridge detailed his current situation. Speaking about his injury, Ridge said, quote, "I was going for a pop-up powerbomb on Moose. He jumped because he's so athletic. He jumped so high, I thought I was going to lose him. I stepped forward, he came down, I stepped back, the foot twisted, and that was the injury. I had surgery, I recovered for a week. First day, that's when I got the call with them saying they weren't going to renew my contract. Okay, I'm injured. I don't know how I'm going to make a living." Ridge noted that his financial situation and those commenting on it was nobody's business, and he wasn't going to give any of his financial details. Quote, "What I do want to hold my hands up for is that last tweet that forced the situation to get worse. That was purely out of frustration. I'm mad at myself for doing that because it was out of character for me. I don't react that way. But knowing my career with WWE was coming to an end and I never got to show my true potential, whether that's my fault or situational with injuries or things that happened, I felt a little wronged. I don't know who by, but by the whole situation. I hold my hands up, and if I had a time machine, I wouldn't have posted that tweet. I needed an outlet, and I needed to vent." Now, throughout the video, Ridge expressed his gratitude for his time with WWE. He also spoke about the injury, of course, to Big E. Now, if you're not familiar with this situation, on the March 11th, 2022 episode of SmackDown, Big E suffered a neck injury when he landed on his head following a belly-to-belly suplex from Ridge Holland. Big E fractured his C1 and C6 vertebrae, but didn't suffer any ligament or spinal cord damage. He has not wrestled since and has said that his career is behind him. Speaking in the same video on his YouTube channel, Ridge expressed his regret over the spot. Quote, "The thing that affected me more than anything was the Big E thing. If I had a time machine right here, right now, the first thing I would do is go back and not do that spot. There is not a day that goes by where I don't think about what happened. There probably won't be a day that goes by where I don't think about it. What happened that day is we were supposed to have a meeting with Vince and it kept getting pushed back because other people took priority. You had guys who were higher on the card that wanted to speak to Vince, so our meeting kept getting pushed back and pushed back. We got in there, we had a really good chat. By the time we got out there, it was 12 minutes to bell time. I think we were on first or second, so we had 20 minutes to put this match together. And the spot was Big E goes for the suicide spear. I move at the last minute, he eats shit. Then I hit a belly-to-belly to put an exclamation point on that. In retrospect, what should have happened was suicide dive, that's it, move on. Whether I didn't give him enough or he didn't give me enough, things go wrong. Unfortunately, it happened, and I'll always regret that spot. I'm grateful that Big E, the class of human that he is, he forgave me, and he's been able to be so positive and move on with his life. He's killing it, he's such a good human being, and I wish nothing but the best for him. For people out there who think there might be any malice in there wasn't. If I could change it, I would in a heartbeat. What happened was it really shook my confidence. I contemplated quitting. Of course, Big E has continued to work with WWE, taking part in PLE pre- and post shows and helping with the NIL program. And he's also spoken about Ridge Holland, his GoFundMe and the reaction to it. Now, as I mentioned, he's now doing media, Ridge Holland. One of the stops was actually on TMZ's Inside the Ring podcast. Now, a GoFundMe, as we covered previously, was set up for Holland after he sent his message out as he's recovering from surgery for the Liz Frank injury. He said during the interview that the GoFundMe was set up without him knowing. It was humbling to see fellow wrestlers and general public donating. He added that people assume that because wrestlers work at WWE, it means that they're millionaires. He said, quote, "So the GoFundMe was set up without my own knowledge. It's not something that I would have done off my own back. I'm quite a private person, and I believe that any problem of mine makes my cross to bear. But I never expected people to donate as they have, and I never really realized people cared that much, to be honest. So it's quite humbling that people are willing to put their hard-earned money and kind of help me out in that respect and help the family out in that respect because, that's the positive. And then the negative side is people are saying, oh, well, you're a WWE superstar, financial, how you manage your money and stuff. I'm like, people think that just because you work for WWE, you're a millionaire, and that's not the case. We have bills, we have other things to pay for, things happen, you have 3 children, you got to pay for their births, we had twins unexpectedly, there's medical bills that still need paying, there's all sorts of things that people just don't know, so it's easy for someone to say, well, you should be this. It's like, yeah, if I thought that, I can say I should be worth multi-millions, but unfortunately I'm not. It's just the way it is. We're not Hollywood movie stars, we don't get compensated that way. Now, he also spoke about this idea of a union. Since his departure from WWE and obviously being injured, having the medical expenses, etc., etc., a lot of people have said, well, this wouldn't happen if there was a union in professional wrestling. Now, Holland was asked about the idea of wrestlers unionizing. He said it would take a seismic effort, but he does not think that will happen. He said, quote, at the minute, it's going to take a big seismic effort to get that because it's a tale as old as time, right? It needs the big hitters to come on board, and unfortunately, it might take them to sacrifice something that they're getting, so I don't think that'll ever happen. I just don't think it will because wrestling's cutthroat, right? It's kill or be killed, and I just don't think that it fits the business mold or the business model from an individual standpoint. And from a business standpoint for the company, so would it be nice? Yeah. Do I think it will happen? Nah. Now, he also spoke about this idea that he can't wrestle or anything like that. He said, quote, I kind of got this reputation of not being able to wrestle just because my style wasn't, because of the Big E thing and because of my style wasn't 1,000 high spots in a match. I'm always kind of, just to grind on people and slow things down a little bit. And just because of that style, I think people put the Big E thing, that my style was a little bit different and a bit slower. So I got the connotation that I couldn't wrestle. So I just think going away for a little bit will probably do me some good. So some interesting comments there, certainly by Holland. Of course, if you want to find out more, all the information is in the video description below. Now, some people were asking about what's going on with Jesse Ventura, considering he wasn't at the most recent Saturday night's main event from Salt Lake City, Utah. Now, the star was absent from commentary throughout the show and didn't welcome viewers in as the show was getting underway, as he previously had done alongside Joe Tessitore for the previous events. According to Dave Meltzer in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, that could be because Ventura is no longer actually under contract with WWE. Meltzer wrote that nothing had officially been said, but he was under the impression that Ventura had signed a one-year deal for the Saturday night's main event shows. He noted that the deal would have run out with the last show. Meltzer said that in check-in, he only found out it hadn't been a major topic of discussion in WWE, but after Ventura's performance on commentary during the Drew McIntyre vs. Damian Priest cage match at the event in May, the die was cast for Ventura being used going forward. Ventura was incensed by the ending of the cage match, with Priest simply walking out of the cage through the door to defeat McIntyre. The Hall of Famer made his thoughts clearly known as his fellow commentators tried to keep things on the rails. Ventura was not on commentary for any point for the July 12th edition of the NBC/Peacock special, and Meltzer noted that his involvement had been downplayed, though Ventura was still under contract on the July special. The next edition of Saturday night's main event will take place on December 13th from the Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. Of course, it will be the setting for John Cena's retirement match. An update here on Dustin Rhodes and his return to action. Now, Dustin Rhodes has been on the shelf since August due to double knee replacement surgery, and he's provided a timeline and new updates on his recovery on social media. Rhodes replied to a fan on X asking how his knees were feeling, he admitting they are still hurting him a bit, especially in the mornings. Quote, I do have a good ways to go, Rhodes wrote. Remember, I am 56 and pushing hard. It just takes time. Not young anymore. Probably March I should be ready to kill everyone, lol. Maybe I'm pushing hard, my man. Now, after winning his first AEW singles gold at the age of 56, Rhodes dropped the TNT Championship to the proto-star Kyle Fletcher on an episode of AEW Collision at the end of July in a bloody street fight. After the match, he revealed he would need to undergo invasive surgery for a hole in his leg, while he initially tried to keep kayfabe on X and blamed needing MRIs and CAT scans due to Kyle Fletcher. He then had to confirm his injury wasn't a work like WWE Seth Rollins, who faked an injury to pull off the ruse of the century to capture the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam. Keeping with AEW, a bit of an update here on Camille and her AEW status. The last time AEW fans saw Camille, she was on the receiving end of an attack from a mystery assailant on the November 30th edition of AEW Rampage, which occurred just days after she and TBS champion Mercedes Moné ended their association. Moné has since surpassed 500 days as TBS champion, all while building up a massive collection of other titles. Meanwhile, Camille is still absent from AEW television. Despite that, Fightful Select Answers Q&A reports that Camille has remained under AEW contract, with previous reports indicating that it still had plenty of time left on it. As for Camille's All Elite Wrestling related whereabouts, the outlet added that she's not even been backstage at shows, nor has her name been discussed within AEW's creative circle. The former NWA World Women's Champion made a strong AEW debut in the summer of 2024 as Moné's bodyguard. In the ring, Camille also picked up victories over Queen Aminata, Robin Renegade, and several local independent talents before suffering her first and only loss to Chris Statlander in October. Camille's bout with Statlander would mark her last under the AEW banner as the company wrote her off television the following month. Fightful previously reported that AEW President Tony Khan felt that the working dynamic between Monet and Camille was not effective. Still, Monet was said to be open to working with Camille after their split, including for a potential match that would pit them against each other. In the end, of course, it never materialized. Now, next up, let's talk about Mark Shapiro. He spoke about some interesting comments when it comes to WWE PLEs. Now, the latest episode of the main event with Andrew Marchand featured a sit-down chat with TKO President and Chief Operating Officer Mark Shapiro. While the conversational focus was on WWE, Shapiro spoke about how the company's Chief Content Officer Paul Triple H Levesque and President Nick Khan are moving forward with things. He added that a lot of WWE Premium Live Event titles were created by former Chairman Vince McMahon. Shapiro said they needed to take the torch and move past that, so Levesque and Khan introduced the WrestlePalooza PLE. Shapiro said securing the IP to WrestlePalooza to sell the event merchandise was a success, quote, and yet they're open to new ideas. They never seem exhausted. They're ready to take a new shot, a new risk, a new opportunity. Hey Nick, let's talk about launching a new event. Right now, a lot of our PLEs were created by Vince McMahon. We need to get in the business of taking that torch and moving past that. And Nick and Triple H created WrestlePalooza, which is the launch event for our new ESPN deal, which did incredibly well and may turn into a super franchise. Not to mention from a merch standpoint, I don't need to tell you, securing the IP rights and then selling merch at WrestlePalooza, let's just say it was a real winner. Now, the first ever WrestlePalooza event was produced under the ECW banner in 1995. The next PLE on the docket for WWE is Survivor Series on November 29th from Petco Park in San Diego, California. And finally, a bit of a positive update for the road to recovery for Kevin Owens. It was shortly before WrestleMania 41 that Kevin Owens announced that due to a neck injury, he had to step away from the ring. On July 18th, Owens underwent successful neck surgery. Owens is now back working out as he shared a video of himself at the WWE Performance Center. Before Owens stepped away, his last match was against Sami Zayn in their home country of Canada at Elimination Chamber. Owens defeated Zayn in an unsanctioned match. But there you go, guys. Latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.